This video is a replay of a trade I took today. Now, it probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I am not a financial advisor, and trading entails risk. Just because I got these results today doesn't mean that I can get these every day, nor that you can. Remember, the entire premise of the investing project and the $1 million experiment is that I am not an expert, and yet I am learning how to do this. So for heaven's sake, don't just blindly copy me. Instead, find a mentor, someone who is an expert, and join their community. Pay for their mentorship. This approach has worked very well for me, and it likely will for you too. So use this video partly as education and partly as inspiration. After all, if I can learn this, you can too. Hello, everyone. Okay, so today was a bit better. We had my first attempt was to try and do something long on the YM, and you can see now on this I now have. Oh, you know what? You probably can't see that. Let me zoom in on this a bit better. Okay, you can see here we've got we now have the 2-minute chart on the YM as well as the 5-minute, and you can see we've got a pullback here. The 2-minute just gives me a little bit more granularity for some of these that move very quickly. And so I'm looking here, you can see in the 5-minute we've had 1, 2, not quite sure whether this is going to be 3 yet, it's a little bit early. I think this is 1, 2 red candles. This one turns into a green if I remember correctly. But you can see from the 2-minute that there's a fair decent little bit of a pullback. And I was looking for an opportunity to go long here and just sort of ride this 20 bar moving average up on the 2-minute. So we can see, so with that said, I'm going to hit play, and it is, what, a minute and almost 2 minutes left in the bar. So let's just let this crank down. Okay, so right here we have on the 5-minute, you can see we've got our first green bar, and on the 2-minute you can see that as well. What I did is I got in at 49622. So let's just see if I can zoom in a bit here. And let's just go along here. 49622 was actually where I got in, so it was a shade late, but anyway. And then let's let this go, because this did actually end up moving in a good direction. Now you can see here we've got quite a lot. We don't need 100 handles. We ended up just about, say, 52. So let's call that 70 handles of risk. And it ended up moving upwards quite nicely. Now what I ended up doing is once this had made it to, I don't know, 70 or 80 handles, I actually moved this right up to break even, because again, I'm so accustomed to the market snapping back right now and stopping me out. So right about there, I'm going to say, all right, I'm taking this at even if it comes all the way back down. But it was playing up there, and it certainly was heading in the right direction. So 50 up to 70 handles positively. Unfortunately, it then came back down and stopped me out. And that turned out to be, I don't know if that was the end of the run, but that was the end of this particular trade. And then I started hunting for an opportunity to go short. And you know, if you've been paying attention, I've been hunting for this opportunity for a while, and I've been getting burned quite regularly. However, at 8:45 or so, let me zoom back out so we can look at everything. And I'll actually let this keep running, and we'll see how close I can come to getting to the time. Actually, probably not that close. I'm just going to fast forward here to 8:40 something. 8:43 would be nice. There we go. 8:43, because I got in at 8:45, I think. Yes. Okay. And so where did I get in? I got in on the 15-minute. So as I'm looking at this, so roughly speaking, I had just been in. Here's the YM. I'll zoom back in on this again. This was the YM that I got in, and this is where it came back down and took me out. It looks like it's no longer making new highs. It looks like it's failing to get any higher. If you look at the ES, zoom out and go into this one, you can look at the. Got my head in the way. Why is my head in the way? That's ridiculous. Let's see if I can do something about that. Can I do something about that? How about I turn me off? There we go. All right, so right here you can see that you can see that it looks like it's cresting. It's starting to not be as readily able to make new highs, and you can see that on the NQ as well. And so if I zoom back out and go back to the to the, what do you call this, 15 minute on the ES, you can see that it's starting to pull a little bit from the high of day. And what I ended up doing was getting in on the 15 minute after this red candle. I don't really trust the 5 minute at this point. It just seems like it's just a bit too much noise. So if I let this finish, we had a minute. Okay. And so I ended up, so there's a nice, fairly substantial red candle pulling back from this area. I ended up getting in, where did I get in? 71.71. I think it was a shade, well, not really that late. So if I go up one, I got in right there, 71.71 on the 15 minute. And then let's let this go. And filled. No kidding. All right. And we'll have a look at this. Okay. Now, what I ended up doing here, I've got two contracts, and so what I ended up doing is this was playing around down here and going back and forth, and it wasn't very clear what. Oh, hang on a second. I need to adjust this stop. The high here was 71.82, I think. 2. Yeah, so I just need to pull it in by 1. So we have a 14 handle stop on the two contracts. And so this was just dancing around in here for a little bit until it picked up a news bar, and then it went gangbusters. But we had a little bit of time before it actually did that, so it was probably a couple of hours. So we got as far as 10 handles in the short direction. And just give it a second here, because this is all, we're in a market right now that is highly susceptible to news bars. And so this ended up being something related to the Iran conflict, and it suddenly caused some negative sentiment in the market. And one of the nice things about doing this, I actually had this up while I was doing something else in the background, and I could just see it kind of out of the corner of my eye. As soon as that news bar hit, it just went significantly down. I'm gonna let this play out, and largely because I ended up doing something that didn't afford me the full profit. Ideally, in hindsight, I would have liked to have left this just the way it was, because I would have got a maximal return here. I would have had 30 plus 40. That would have been 70 handles times $5 a piece. It would have been $350. I didn't get the full 350 because as soon as it started really dropping down significantly, I know the tendency right now is for this to snap back. So in fact, what I did is I snagged some profit early, and we'll look at that in a second. Okay, so there we are. So now the market has suddenly hit this news bar. It's dropped a ton, and I ended up taking, 17 handles. So whatever, 71, so 53, I think. I took 71 to 54. 54. So I ended up getting out with 17 handles on my first contract, and I let the second one stay in, and I ended up taking 33 handles on that one. So the total was 50 handles. So I made $250. So I'll just let this play as though I hadn't moved them at all, and we'll just see. I believe it actually ended up hitting both of them. I didn't actually do this though. I took the $250. But here would be, it hasn't quite hit it yet. Let it do its thing.
It fell.
There's the first one. And there's the second one. So if I had actually let this do its thing, I would have had the full 350. As it is, I took the 250. Didn't want to risk it snapping back. Hindsight's 20/20. Should have left it alone. But I didn't know that at the time. And you know what? The way this last couple of weeks has gone, I'm going to take the money. So there we are.